Hello, hello. God kväll. Welcome to another ESC Fan TV show, and welcome to another Norway show because we've seen it all now. We've had all the semi-finals in Norway, and there's only one thing left: the big final in Trondheim next Saturday. I think we're all very excited, but we'll get back to that very soon. Today we will be talking about the semi-final that was just held just a little bit of an hour ago. Over in Oslo, we had the wonderful song I Am Gay going through to the final, so we now have the final lineup. Before we get into the duels, it would be a good idea probably to introduce you to our panel tonight. First of all, hello, Tom.
Hey, Nicholas. Oh, what an evening it's been. Oh, do you know what? Summed up. Random Danish guy. What a super Saturday night.
It is. There are still, national finals going around all over Europe. There's a lot there. There isn't a lot of time for us to get any sleep these days, but it is what it is. Also, of course, a big hello to Stuart.
Good evening, Nicholas.
Yes, good evening. And also good evening to someone who I'm sure is starting to get pretty excited about what she's going to do next Saturday. Hello, Joanne.
Hello, my lovely. Yes, I cannot wait to be there next Saturday for the final.
It's going to be great, and I'm sure you're looking very much forward to seeing it all like in person. And finally, last but not least, it's a big hello to David as well.
Hello, very excited. It's a Danish guy. It's a super Saturday. Of course it is.
Yes, it definitely is. So let us get into the duels we had tonight. Of course, remember that if you are watching this show live, we would love for you to comment in the chat what you think of the duels tonight, if you think the right song went through. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. You can find us on all the socials. We're here on YouTube, but we're also on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we are on Twitch, we are everywhere. So there is no excuse to miss a show. Now, let's get into the duels. The first duel we had tonight, that was Jensen and the song Mr. Hello, and that was up against Elin and the Woods with the song We Are As One. A fantastic duel. You know, two great songs. I think we're going to start with the first one on stage. That was Jensen's Mr. Hello. Let's listen to a bit of it.
Mr. Hello, where do you go? I'm toward my chateau.
A fun little jazzy song that unfortunately didn't get through to the golden duel. I'm gonna start off with Joe. What do you think of this song? Do you think it should have gone through?
Not should have gone through. I do like this song. She performed it really well, and the staging was great, wasn't it? It took you back to the 20s, to the speakeasies, and I have to say she did a cracking job with the song. Wasn't ever going to win, unfortunately, but yeah, she did a good job.
She definitely did. This was one that seemed to get the audience up and dancing and having fun. Stuart, were you having fun?
Yeah, I was, until it reminded me of Electra Velvet from a few years ago. And then it took me back to that very dark place, Nicholas. And yeah, this was not Jenny Jensen from 2007, let me tell you. That was a very, very good year for Norway. Some great songs. Sadly, this didn't hit the mark for me. And surprise, or quelle surprise, she didn't qualify.
It is like that sometimes. David, was this among one of your favorites, or do you think it was okay that it didn't go through?
I think it was okay to don't go through. I think the song was really good. It was jazzy. It was fun, But yes, when you have, I think it's okay to not go through. But this was kind of open semifinal. We were expecting this kind of open semifinal from Melodi Grand Prix, and I think she will be proud of her performance because she was really good.
Yeah, I think so too. I think she definitely gave it her all, and I think that it was a fun addition. Tom, you can round off this little discussion.
Well, Nicholas, it's a shame my cocktail makings are over because tonight I was going to make an old-fashioned, which I think just about sums up Jenny Johnson's act. I mean, I loved it. I wanted to be in a 1920s speakeasy. However, I think out of every single song, she had the toughest job of the night, where she was placed up against Elin in the Woods. And unfortunately, the old-fashioned is out of fashion.
It could be, unfortunately. So, like I said, Mr. Hello did not go through to the gold final, but from old-fashioned, we move over to a culture that may seem old-fashioned to some, but is one that more and more people would like to embrace, especially here in the Eurovision fandom. The second one in this duel was Elin and the Woods with the Northern Sami song We Are As One. Of course, two of the writers on this song were Ylva and Linda Persson. If you haven't checked it out already, I did an interview with them earlier this week. They were super lovely. You know, they really believed in this song, and it definitely deserved to be there in the gold final. Let's listen to a bit of it. Yes, this really was like a fairy tale on stage. Do you agree, Stuart?
Yeah, it was. It reminded me a lot of Anna Bergendahl's song from Melfest last year, with a whole kind of, you know, greenery, bushes and trees in the background. Look, who doesn't like a good bush, especially on a Saturday night? And this is what this reminded me of. It's kind of weird, but I love the song. You know, you're right, the twins are great. We got to hear from them earlier in the week. And I thought this was going to win this semi-final by absolutely a country mile. I'm very, very surprised right now. I am a shocked Brit. And, you know, frankly, after the day we've had with Australia and all that, I thought this was going to be a nice, simple show with the correct winner and it being pretty smooth. Turns out I was wrong.
Well, I'm sure we'll get back to that later, but as we all know, nothing is as we expect in the Eurovision world. We just have to get used to that. Moving on from that, David, was this one of your favorites, and do you think the performance worked on stage?
It was my overall winner. I think they were great, you know, but I'm disappointed they didn't win the whole semi-final because he's one of my favorites. If Elin was getting to the final, I think it was one of my favorites alongside Magnus because it's so unique, it's so fantastic, you know. She has a fantastic way. This song is kind of unique, it's traditional, but I really like this, and I think they maybe will come back because sometimes in national finals, sometimes I think they will come back maybe next year in years' time.
It could be. There's definitely a lot of love for this kind of music at the moment. So it seems like there's a lot of love for the song already. Of course, if any of you out there are loving the song, feel free to let us know in the comments. Tom, were you loving this as well?
Do you know what, Nicholas? I've given some songs a bit of flack over the last few weeks for their staging just not living up to my, quite frankly, far too high expectations. And I have to say, Elin and the Woods actually matched my expectations. It was exactly how I wanted this song to be staged. From the whole kind of forest, you know, the fairy lights kind of going off in the background. It took you somewhere beyond actually a television studio, which I know everyone has told me, yes, that is where it is actually being held at the moment. But do you know what? I just loved it, and it just kind of rocks you. Like,
It's a lovely song that gets you swing. But Joe, I think we need to point this out because obviously on this show, like for the past couple of weeks, we've talked about what we like to call a kiss of death. You know, a song that we praise on the preview show, and it just doesn't do as well as we'd hoped. Joe, was this another case of the kiss of death for you, Sifan?
Yeah, it was the curse of Tom and I. We mentioned it again. We both love this song. It should have gone through. It was by far and away the best one of the night. Staging was the best. Everything was the best. And if any of them would have been a surefire winner and breaking that curse, it should have been that one. It's why we didn't think about voting, pretending to vote for somebody else and all that sort of thing. And it didn't win. So what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? We're going to have to go back to pretending to like another song so that the right song wins. Annoying.
Could be. I think we're all just going to be very quiet on the preview show next week because no one's gonna be ready to say who their favorite is. Stuart, can you just round it off? Stuart, you're on mute.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I go on about other people, don't I? So I suppose it had to be my turn.
It's my turn.
Oh, should we break off into a John Ludwig song just to lighten tonight's mood?
Yes.
I thought it was a real travesty. Reminded me of the two Danish singers last year. Everyone thought was going to go through. The ones that sang a bit of Greenlandic. Sorry, Nicholas. Is it? What's the language in Greenland?
Greenlandic, yes.
What a guess! Fab.
Yes, League of Light is the song you're talking about.
That's the one, yeah. So everyone thought they were going to win, and until the actual results came in, this was exactly the same. I just have a question though, because I don't understand this. Who is the Woods? Is it the Woods behind her, or is it the gentleman that accompanies her?
It's the guy, isn't it?
Yeah. I think so. At least on the show, he was introduced as the Woods, so I would expect that it's him.
This is where I zoned out for the evening. I'm sorry, guys. The semi-final was so bad, I muted half of it, so I missed all this kind of detail. I thought the Woods were the Woods that she was standing in. Turns out it's a guy. There you go, 2 Woods for 1.
Trouble is, you're saying it was so bad you muted it, but you've continued your habit as well.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yourself on mute.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point.
Also,
let us just remember that I am the only one here who can actually understand Norwegian, so it probably doesn't surprise anyone that I was the one, actually getting what they were saying. But moving on, let us go to duel number 2. This was the 2 fun, upbeat songs up against each other. Again, we aren't really sure how these duels work, because it does seem like very similar songs go up against each other, but that's our little conspiracy theory here on the show. We don't need to talk more about that. The semis are over now, so it's all good. But this was Kevin Boine with the song Stem på mig up against Liza Vassilieva with the song I Am Gay. The first one up was Kevin Boine. His song was all about voting for him, but sadly, not enough people did. Let's listen to a bit of the song.
Make it stop.
Well, I remember that we gave a lot of love for this song when we had it on the previous show. Well, we did. Morten did not, but he's not here, so that doesn't matter. So I'm gonna go to Tom. Why didn't this work? Why do you think this didn't work?
Do you know what? I think it's a bit because it was a bit like a marketplace song, wasn't it? Had a bit of everything. Started off slow. He did a bit of rap, did a bit of bouncing around. Then had Eurovision files like myself, with the checklist out going. Well, that's definitely more than 6 people on stage for it. I think. And then it was just very, very repetitive because literally it was almost like he was trying to elevate the song, but far too much. I mean, at one point the camera panned out, there were streamers coming down from the sky and everything, and it was like he'd won. It wasn't like he needed the vote, it was just like he'd won the vote.
Maybe it was enough that he voted for himself. Joe, do you think this was maybe just a bit too much for the audience?
Yeah, it was. I think it's quite funny because we did give it love on Wednesday, wasn't it? Wednesday. But do you know what? I don't know now why I gave it love on Wednesday. Maybe it was to do with a curse in a subconscious way. I don't know. Because I think we did mention a certain name on the group chat. Daz Sampson. It reminded us of, well, reminded me of Daz Sampson quite a lot, and I know it reminded Tom of us as well. And I just think it was just way, way, way over the top. Too many people on stage. He was giving it too much, if that made sense, and he could have really toned it down a lot, if I'm honest. Yeah,
Fair
not good from Kevin. Not good.
Maybe what he just needed was a pair of kinky boots, and then he would have sailed through. Who knows? David, what was your take on this song?
I think we know this, but I think it was. I say it was all right. It was all right, but stage was a little bit too over. But you know what? It's a very good. I think it's that silly words to this song, but I think it was a little bit over the top the staging, and he, no, his vocals was kind of all right, but the staging was kind of too much.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that there was maybe a little bit too much going on. Stuart, you can round it off because I'm sure you're going to be as positive as ever.
I have no idea what is going on anymore. So clearly, somebody's done something very bad in the world for this to end like this tonight in Norway. Wow. I mean, this guy's got over 70 million streams in December alone. Who the hell thought this was a good idea? Who the hell wrote this song and who was it intended for? I can't see the audience. It was a mix of absolutely everything. And do you know what? There was about 10 people in there cheering him, and I felt embarrassed for them. It was awful. It was the worst song I think I've heard in any national final yet. And we've got the one to come. There you go. There's some positivity for you.
Awesome, just what I expected. So what we can conclude from this is that if you're constantly screaming in people's face to vote for you, guess what? No one will actually do it. That's the lesson of the show today. So let us finally move on to the song that not only went to the gold final, but also went all the way to the final next week. Liza sang the song I Am Gay. It's been a bit of a controversial song in the Eurovision fandom this week for the simple reason that she has been very vocal about the fact that she is not gay herself, but wanted to send this song as an anthem for the LGBT community. It was even mentioned on the show tonight, and for some people, it clearly worked. Let's hear a bit of it. I must admit, this song did actually win me over. I think I was a little bit harsh on it the other day on Wednesday when we reviewed it because of this whole problem with the message and all the controversy. I got a little bit too rolled into it, I think. In reality, she is supporting the community by, putting this song forward. And if it makes someone happy and it makes someone feel represented, then I think it's great. This one was the one that ended up going through. Joe, why do you think this was the one going through tonight?
I just think that they wanted a little bit of, I don't know, a bit of a bop. I guess it was out of the four of them. You have to admit it's the least depressing, I guess. So people just wanted a happy song. I'm not a fan of the song. I don't think it should have won. Personally, I think she was as shocked as anyone else that she got through and she won. But I just think that they just thought, oh, do you know what? It's catchy, and it's a bit of an earworm, isn't it? And I think that's probably where it all came from. But I still don't know why she won. I really don't.
Well, it could just be because everyone was having fun, or at least she had a lot of support in the audience. Of course, that doesn't always translate to votes. We saw it in the first week. We also had, some people really cheering for, I forgot what song it was that was up against Rayleigh, but, it is what it is sometimes. David, was this among one of your favorites?
Nay, well, not my favorite. But you know what? She worked hard. She worked her best. I think this duel was kind of weak. This was a weaker duel of all semifinals. I got to say, I don't understand this one. but I think because of the message of the song, I think this was the reason I see she got through. I don't. I think I get it, but I think in the final, in the proper final, she gonna be straying more because there are more songs. She faced only two, but it's kind of weird to see her in the final. I think we have to say I was a little bit surprised by the result, but I think we never know. We never know because this is unpredictable.
Yes, I think a lot of people were actually surprised. I mean, even she was herself. Sometimes I do wonder if these artists do go on the various Eurovision forums and sees the kind of, polls going on. And I'm sure some of them have a bit of an idea of where they stand. So I think this was a big shocker for her. But now it's in the final. It's going to have to compete up against 9 other songs. Tom, where do you think this stands? Do you think it has potential in the final, or do you think that this may fall flat there against some of the other songs we've seen?
Oh, do you know what? That's a really tough question. See, I think the thing with this song is that it's likely to go above expectations by the very nature of the topic material. And I think sometimes, that kind of grabs attention, and therefore, and especially because it's so catchy as well, it's going to hook people in. I mean, let's face it, out of all of the songs that are in that final, if you're looking for a real earworm that's going to irritate you and you're going to wake up at 3 a.m. with it ringing through your head, it's going to be that. And so, yeah, I think it's going to actually finish higher than people want it to in the final. I don't think it'll win, but I think it's certainly going to be in the top half of the rankings.
Be interesting to see. And finally, Stuart, was this one that got your rainbow flag waving and you dancing?
I've just had this vision, Tom, actually. Can you imagine getting caught in a lift with this playing 24/7? Let alone an alarm waking up in the morning. So I should love this, shouldn't I? Because this was born to be written and born to be performed by Dolly Style.
Yes.
It's bubblegum pop at its absolute worst. So look, I think I should absolutely adore this. I just kind of have issues with everything about it. I think lyrically the two for me don't really match. I just find it a really odd kind of song and how it's been built. But do you know what? I understand why it's gone through because it's a bit different. And Joe put it brilliantly. I thought Joe's comment earlier were absolutely on the mark. It was the least depressing song of the night. And let's exclude Tony because that's direct to the final. Out of the 4 that were competing tonight, it was the one that certainly stood out the most. And I think that's why it's won. I think it's won. Do I love it? No. Do I hate it? No. Do I think it stands a chance next weekend? Absolutely no chance.
In a very open semi-final, this may have just ended up being the one that the most amount of people could agree on. Who knows, but the fact is that we have this one in the final, and we are only one song away now. We only have one more song to talk about before we have actually touched every single song in MGP. First of all, thank you to everyone who are commenting on the live feed. Keep all those comments coming. We are loving every single one of them. And Annie just said the best song of the night was Tone Damli and also the best outfit. So why not talk about it? The last of the pre-qualified songs was released tonight. It was Tone Damli. Some people may remember her as the one who came second behind Alexander Rybak. She said it herself in the show. It was unlucky for her that she had to take part that year because who could beat him? She's waited 11 years, but she is back now with the song Hurts Sometimes. Let's see a little bit of her performance from tonight. A great big staging from Tone, and definitely a song that seems to once again follow this trend of these pre-qualified songs definitely feeling like they belong there. Tom, what do you think of her performance tonight?
Do you know what, Nicholas? I really enjoyed her performance. I thought it was catchy, but I do have one tiny criticism of her staging, which I think she needs to look at for next week. And so the song started off, and you had the lovely imagery of, clearly her in the background and stuff. And then it opened to the audience, and you could see the audience were waving these lights around. But then the camera zoomed in, and as the camera zoomed in, you noticed that about half the audience weren't actually waving their things at all. In actual fact, I doubt half the audience were actually interested in the performance. And that, to me, kind of took away part of the illusion. I like the song. I think the song's really strong. But she's going to have to actually either drop that from her staging or not get them to do a close-up next week. Because that kind of broke the illusion a bit for me.
I'm thinking, and I want to see if anyone else agrees with me, my first thought was that it was kind of the same issue that Leonora had in Dansk Melodi Grand Prix last year, where it feels very stiff. It just feels like there's so much work to make the staging look the way it's supposed to be, that it just ends up with the performer feeling a little bit stiff, not really being able to get out there, connect with the audience. And this, unfortunately, while I like the song, this didn't really connect with me. Joe, did it connect with you?
Not as much as some of the others. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, my comment at the time was, Ulrika's going to wipe the floor with her. Because I just think, it was a nice enough song. And she's a lovely person, and her outfit was stunning. But she definitely isn't going to trouble, the favourites, put it that way. No, it didn't really connect with me at all, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Stuart, what's your opinion?
So I love this. I thought it was a really good song. I thought the staging at the beginning was fabulous. I love looking through the window and seeing Tony, and then opening out and seeing the crowd as the song progressed. I thought the song was good. I thought it's well produced. She's a gorgeous young lady. Love the dress. I thought the dress was stunning, absolutely stunning. Clearly had been bought specifically for her for that performance, and I thought that was wonderful. I think the song, the vocal, and also now the dress coming together worked perfectly. And I'm going to come back to some of the points I've made in previous shows. I do think maybe it won't matter in the final, but I think going into each of these semi-finals, it's become pretty clear to me that the production values of the direct finalists are that much higher than the semi-finalists or the ones that had to qualify. Now, in the final, I think probably it's a little more equal, but I think going into those semi-finals, I can understand why NRK have looked at them and thought these 5 songs must be in the final because they are the best 5 songs at this moment in time where they were reviewing them. And this was another example. I thought this was head and shoulders above the other 4 and thoroughly deserves its place in next week's final.
Good point. And David, you can round this discussion off.
Yeah, I got to agree. I think she has a very good staging. Stage was very good. I think the best staging of all pre-finalists. Yeah, I think her voice is also very good. I think she can finish really good in the final, and I think she can do well in the final. I can see her in one of them maybe, but I think she has a very good chance to finish maybe in the top 5.
Interesting. There's only a week to go. We will see very soon. So there we actually have it. We have now heard every single song. We've talked about every single song in this year's Melodi Grand Prix, and we will now be looking forward to seeing them all in Trondheim Spectrum next weekend. I just want to quickly bring up all the qualifiers so we can see the songs that are competing for that trophy next week. I'm gonna bring it up right here. So the 5 songs that were already pre-qualified, of course, we have Sondre with Take My Time. We have Didrik and Emil with the song Out of Air. We have Akuvi, who is singing Som Du Er. We have Ulrike Brandstrup, who is singing Attention. And finally, the one we've talked about today is Tone Damli and Hurts Sometimes. we also have the 5 songs that have competed in these semifinals and have gotten that golden ticket for the big final. We have the first week's winner, it was Rayleigh with the song Wild. The week after, we had Rain Alexander bringing fire to the stage with One Last Time. Taking it down a little bit slower, the week after, it was Kristen Husser with the song Pray For Me. The week after, we were all having fun over the sea with Magnus Birken. And this week, of course, we were all shouting, I am gay, along with Liza. So we have these songs. These are the songs that are going to be competing next week. However, there are also a bunch of songs that unfortunately we've had to say goodbye to. Now I would just quickly like to ask a little question here for the panel. If we as fans were able to pick one song we would like to see as kind of like a wild card, the 11th song going through to the final, who would we like to do? Who do you think actually deserved a place in that final? I'm going to go to Joe first.
Oh, it has to be Justice for Ziguba for me. Anytime they should have got through.
There we go, Justice for Ziguba. If anyone remembers that, we've had it on both this show. We also had it on the Sound Off clips. Lots of love for that song. I remember. I think a lot of people would have loved to see that in the final as well. David, what would be your wildcard pick if you could choose one?
Damn, that's just hard. I gotta say, for me, it's between Zigruba and Bang almost semifinal four.
Okay. Stuart, what would be your pick?
Oh, this is easy. I think the one that got away from semi-final 2 was Jaeger with How About Mars. I'm looking back now and I'm thinking, wow, if that was in this semi-final, it would have walked it.
Interesting. I just noticed that David just magically disappeared. I guess he's said everything he needed to say. Oh, I think he is back now. Tom, it's your turn. What would be your wildcard pick?
This is incredibly tough for me. I'm thinking to myself, because obviously I championed Lisa Barund in semi-final 1. Obviously, she didn't get through. And I championed Kim and Maria in semi-final 2, and and then there was Ziguba in semi-final 3. And do you know what? I think I'm going to go for Elin and the Woods. I think they actually should have had the ticket, because I think in actual fact there was a massive opportunity there to bring a really, really, really good stage show to Trondheim, and I think they would have really, really made the most of it. And I think I'm quite sad, really, that they're not going to be there. And also, it's another example of the kiss of death that I seem to be inflicting on any entry I pick as my favourite. Just ask Jack Vidgen. So,
I mean, we could make a whole like Eurovision Kiss of Death contest with all the songs that we wanted to go through but didn't go through. Maybe we'll do that some way with the ESC Fan TV Awards. Who knows? Yeah, for me, there's no doubt. I mean, I think everyone remembers I was championing How About Mars right from when it was released. I will say I've kind of gotten over it now, as Ulrike's Attention has definitely become my big favorite, and I think we should all just like gather together and, you know, cheer for that, but not too much because we don't want to give it the kiss of death, of course. But yeah, How About Mars was just such a cool and interesting staging, in my opinion, that I think it would have been so lovely to see that in Trondheim Spectrum in the final. But there we have it. There's a lot to talk about. We are, of course, very excited for the final, and we will, of course, be reviewing the final. We will be doing that next Wednesday. We will be back and taking a look at the 10 competing songs in the final. You know, just thinking a little bit about what have we said about these songs before, how do we actually think they stand up against each other, and finally, of course, who do we think will be Norway's pick? Who do we think will be going to Rotterdam? It's been a great show tonight. There's been a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, we will be back next Wednesday. If you're just thinking, I can't get enough ESC Fan TV, when is there something more? Don't worry, because we have a jam-packed Sunday as well. Tomorrow, Andy and his friends will be taking a look at the Sanremo. They're trying to, take everything we've seen in Sanremo and just like put it down to just half an hour to an hour. And I would just like to say a big good luck to Andy and his team, because there's a lot to cover, I can imagine. And then, of course, you can see the times on screen right now. It's 8 p.m. for the Sanremo show. And then we are back at 10 p.m. Central European time, where we are reviewing tonight's very exciting semi-final in Melodi Festival in Sweden. There's so much stuff going on. We've had Australia decides today. We had Norway. We've had Sweden. We have Supernova, I think, still going on in Latvia. We have the X Factor final in Malta. How anyone's able to keep up, I don't know. But if you are one of those who are keeping up, watching all these shows, well, I have a fun job for you tomorrow. You can record clips for every single national final. You can just record clips for one. Doesn't matter. You can send in your 30-second clips to this week's ESC Fan TV Sound Off. Do as it says on the screen. Send in your 30-second video reactions to info@escfantv.com via retransfer. I think I've talked enough. I think we've said enough for tonight. So I just want to end it off with saying thank you to my panel. Thank you to Tom.
Thank you, Nicholas. Fantastic show. Looking forward to Wednesday, where we can kind of. Oh, it's going to be like a. Oh, I'm actually quite sad, actually, because it's like the final one.
It's like it's like when your kid goes off to university and you won't see them for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
It'll be a beautiful moment, I can imagine. Thank you as well to Stuart.
Thanks, Nicholas. Yeah, great show. Look forward to the next week.
Yes, and looking forward to it as well. Thank you to Joe, and good luck with the packing that I'm sure you'll be doing while we're on the show on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm all packed. I am literally all packed. I'm that excited. I just got to do some final bits and pieces, checking on the flights and everything, and I'm going to be there next week, cheering everyone on. But I will see everyone Wednesday as well.
Yes, we will definitely. And also a big thank you to David. If he can still hear us.
Thank you very much, Nicholas.
Yeah, so a lot going on. Everyone, you are now free to go back to any of the national finals going on over Europe right now. That's all for us today. Thank you so much for tonight, and have a great rest of the evening. Bye.
Bye.